Hello and welcome to the North Bank podcast. I'm your host, Holly. I'm joined by Stef. Well, that was a bit crap, Stef, wasn't it?
What was?
Not 24 hours ago.
Well, do you know what, though? We sort of played quite well.
Look, absolutely. And look, okay. My overriding emotion and takeaway is just one of pure frustration. I'm not faulting the effort, the start we made. I think, there's plenty of statistics out there to suggest that we were the better side over two legs. Their man of the tie was their goalkeeper. You look at our XG compared to their XG. I know they had chances, we had chances, and so on. So it just that heightens the frustration. It's the crushing familiarity of the way we fell. Not that it's a semi-final. It's just that how close we got. It's everybody and their mother could have predicted how that played out. It's like my frustrations in two areas, aimed at two kind of, an institution and a person. My frustrations with Arsenal because of two wasted transfer windows. We didn't get the striker we needed in the summer. Sesko said no, apparently it was close, and there was no pivot, no plan B, which was dangerous. And we all said it. This isn't hindsight. It was quite clear at the time. And injuries, and then January, nothing. Took a gamble, did not pay off. So that's my first frustration. And there's nothing I can do about that because, there's nothing I can do about anything but that frustration at all. My second frustration is at Arteta. And it's a bugbear. Look, he's maybe risk averse, but his use of the squad, a thin squad, by everybody's concession, a thin squad. His use of that, his lack of rotation, has cost us players. I don't care. I'm sure there are. I'm not blaming injuries for our failings this season. However, they could have been somewhat. Not mitigated against. Negated. Thank you. Yes, negated. If he'd used the squad more efficiently. Now, I look at yesterday. I made the comment on the previous podcast after the Bournemouth game that I thought Miles Lewis-Skelly looked tired. There was no need. And yesterday, you have to admit, that was probably one of his most difficult games. He's been brilliant and he's a physical specimen, but he's 18, playing at a ridiculously high, intense level all the time. He needs a rest. He needed a break. There was no need for him to play against Bournemouth. We have Zinchenko and Tierney on the bench, and yet Lewis-Skelly played the full 90 minutes against Bournemouth, and he looked tired. If you're even just 1% or 2% below your best against a team like PSG in the Champions League semi-final, it's terminal. Now, I'm not blaming, don't get me wrong. This is just as an example, a very recent example. And we all know that the injuries that Havertz and Saka got, and Gabriel have really, really impacted us. They've cost us. And they're all muscle injuries. And they are three of our top minutes. If they're fit, they play. And that's, for me, that frustration is on. And again, it's not hindsight. I'm not, and it's no kind of revisionism going on here. I've been banging, not just me, I'm not, everyone, many people who's saying this, banging on about this the whole time. And so that's what makes last night's result so frustrating. Because it was a fantastic performance with what we had, but we've got a midfielder playing up front. It's like, and we've got players in our team who are just not clinical enough. And we'll go through the chances again in more detail. But Martinelli should score that chance. Rice should score that chance. Ødegaard, everyone's banging on about, and this is a little bugbear, a little irritation on the night and today. Everyone's talking about how Donnarumma made it like the best save they've ever seen, or in recent years, from Ødegaard's shot. All right, it's a good save. He saw it late. His reactions were fantastic. But you look at that replay from behind Ødegaard, it is nowhere near the corner of the goal. You then cast your mind back 2 weeks or 1 week to Dembele at the Emirates. The accuracy was unerring in off the post. Now, luck, perhaps.
I was going to say,
but,
last week you were saying he scuffed it.
Yeah, but it went in. It was right inside the post. So maybe he was playing his angles a bit riskily, but it works for him. Erdegaard, he connected with it well, and I wish he'd shoot some more. But it was too close to the goalkeeper, and so it's just that lack of efficiency. And I know, Chris, who's not with us this evening again, Chris was probably tapping away. We'll regret these missed chances. Because if ever there was a game where we all knew we were going to regret these or rue these missed chances, that was it last night. So look, that's my frustration is just, or my feeling is pure frustration, and it's the club's inactivity in 2 transfer windows. We have gone back this season. We've not plateaued even. We've not progressed. We've actually regressed somewhat. We're 15 points. No, we're 13 points worse off than with 3 games to go last season, which is mad because we're only 15 points behind Liverpool. And so on last season's points tally, we'd be going to Anfield 2 points behind them with 3 games left, all to play for. I feel sorry for you having to travel to Anfield on Sunday, but we'll come to Anfield. I'm going to shut up amazingly. Stef, you've been very quiet today, I've got to say, on any WhatsApp group. You've been in radio silent, so I was unsure as to how you going to approach this particular podcast. Off you go.
Well, I went on radio silence from about 4 or 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon because and I explained this to my wife as well, and I said the problem I've got is in my head after the first tie, how well PSG played, how wobbly we looked in those first sort of 20-25 minutes, but basic fact of the being a goal down, I felt like it was too much. It was too big a task. I did think we might go out and score, but I also didn't think we'd go out and keep a clean sheet. So, immediately my head is going, do you know what? Don't get your hopes up. It's probably done. It's not that big a deal. And then my stomach kept going, yeah, but what if? You did well to recover in that first game, and Declan Rice is really good, and Saka's really good, and Mikel Merino's not a mid forward, but maybe that's part of his strength because no one knows what the hell he's going to do, and I was just getting more and more nervous, and what I felt was the more I spoke to people, the worse I felt. So I just needed to shut myself away, and it's like today, following the game, the more voices I hear. I can't help but be a little bit contrary, and it's because I feel it all, essentially. I feel the frustration that you've just echoed, absolutely, 100%. This goes back last summer, maybe even the summer before, when the club have clearly gone in the direction of making sure the foundations of defence and midfield are there, but perhaps, we have neglected the front line. Or not even perhaps, we have. So that frustration was kind of set there, and then the lack of rotation, the fact that we could have managed the team better. It's so disappointing. But then there's the others who are, probably going too far with their criticism. You were very reasoned with what you just said. You're not losing your head completely. It's not performative anger. It's just frustration, isn't it? Because we love the club and we want them to do really well.
We're so
but we
close.
can also see where exactly. And someone posted something. I see in my head, I was telling myself, don't talk about what other people posted, just talk about what you posted. But the problem is, other people are so much more eloquent than I am. And someone put, of all the seasons that they've had, it must be said that they were a lot younger than you or I. This is the most painful because it's the semi-final against Newcastle. It's going out in the cup to United. It's a Champions League semi-final. It's being second most of the season and not really closing the gap. And it's like you say, and then a few people have going, well, surely like more painful in like late Wenger, early or the Unai Emery era. And it's like, no. I didn't expect us to get anywhere at that point.
Hope and expectation.
This is painful because it's so close, and that's the frustration, that's the sadness. Where I'm at the moment is, and you referenced going to Liverpool at the weekend, I'm feeling quite defiant because a bit like you were saying after the Real Madrid wins, is that as great as they are, and we had a whale of a time celebrating them, it's got to lead on to something more. It hasn't, so they're now isolated on their own as great moments, and that's kind of it, really. This will only feel much worse if we don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
It does make it slightly harder for the club, because what they've done now is they've really made it. I mean, this summer was important anyway. We knew that once the league started to slip. But now to have done it this way, and like you say, in the Champions League, we can all see it. It's just about missed chances. Our chances, statistically, were better than PSG's, but we didn't take ours. Theirs were less good statistically, but they took them. And they took them well. And
with a helping hand from Lady Luck as well.
What, that deflection?
Oh, the deflection took it. It wouldn't have been a goal if had it not.
And how's your luck? It's one of them, isn't it? And that's why I'm never gonna lose my rag about this, because on the whole, statistically we might have looked better, but I can just see how PSG are devastating. They're devastating on the counter attack. They got the game state in such a position where they could do that. Allow us onto them and then hit us on the counter. The number of runs that they had where you thought, oh no, it's going to be absolutely devastating, and then we managed to get away with it was all because of the situation we were in with the scoreline. So, fair play to them. Everyone, this is the other thing. Everyone's saying they're the best team in the competition, but then also saying that, ha, Arsenal, you lost. And it's like, well, we can't sort of have your cake and eat it. We have probably lost to the best team in the competition. That's not to say Inter won't be hard to beat. I don't know. I just feel sad. I feel sad for the players because they're so likeable, and I feel sad for the fans who went, with that little bit of hope and the way we started the game, because I thought the fans were excellent from the videos and bits and bobs that I've seen.
It was a far better start than I'd anticipated. I was thinking, as we were thinking, let's just keep it tight and don't concede in the first 20, 25 minutes because they're going to come at us. Not a bit of it. We went. And that was the difference. You talked about game state. Because we're not clinical with our chances, we allowed PSG to manage the game the way they did. We allowed them that. They didn't demand that. It was because we missed our chances. Had Rice taken his chance after 2 minutes, 3 minutes...
As the header, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's different. That's a completely different mindset now.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because
even go to the end of the game, had Saka taken not missed the open goal, and I'm not blaming him. It came really fast, and he might have anticipated Donnarumma getting a touch on it, and he didn't. But had that gone in spite of everything that had happened, with 12 minutes to go, we were 2-2. We were one goal, and that becomes in your head. Look at Inter Milan against Barcelona the night before. With 3 minutes to go in normal time, Barcelona score and they're going through. And you can see no way for Inter Milan. Loads of Inter fans had left the stadium. The San Siro was emptying. You could not see a way back, and yet they did it because goals change games. And so 17 of our 35 league games, we've either got 0 or 1. And that's so we allowed PSG to, again, look at the goal. So the deflection of the first one, look at the second goal they got. Well, that's nothing to do with their great play. Yeah, Hakimi with a lovely finish. That ball should never have got to him. Not from not one, but two, at least two Arsenal players. And that's when you don't score your goals, then you're leaving. You're put yourself in a situation where every single mistake is heightened.
I did find it, as we've just sort of mentioned, about the dominance of at certain times of certain teams. How amazed I was at the coincidence of how this game almost reversed the first game.
Yeah.
And then, but also the same sort of thing happened when Liverpool played PSG. It's weird how PSG have these games of like symmetry, and yet seem to come out on top. It's just they've got that knack.
It's not always been. I mean, I was surprised. I mean, this is their fourth semi-final in 6 years.
Yeah.
So they've been knocking at the door for quite a while. They've got a lot more. I know they're quite a young team, but they're quite an experienced team.
Well, this is the thing about the Champions League, isn't it? Because I can't help but step back and look at the bigger picture. There are short-term things we have to absolutely fix, but the progression, over the years, from where we were to where we are, is huge. And like you say, the frustrating thing is just because of how close we are. But then,
we took the foot off the pedal last summer.
I know. That's the disappointing thing, isn't it? Because there didn't seem to be a plan B. But then you look at other clubs where, okay, the league might be slightly different, but it took Pep a long time to establish Bayern, who are essentially a super club, can buy anyone they want in Germany. He struggled in the Champions League for a little while, and they were just bossing the league every year. It took him how many goes with Man City? Incrementally, quarterfinals, semi-finals, final, and then finally did it at the end. This is Arteta's second season in the Champions League. What I hope is that this is somehow sustainable over the long term. I don't want to be that team that, does an Icarus, just, gets too close to the sun and then all of a sudden sort of falls away. I don't want to do that. I want to sustain this level of some sorts. Of course, we need to take that final step, make it happen, and then others will hopefully follow. But
yeah, because if we don't win next season, I think next season is a must-win season. Because players will leave. Forget about fans turning their back.
Well, that's what kept. I used Pep as an example at Bayern and Man City. Well, those are two clubs that were carrying on winning league titles. So that's a luxury we don't have. So there definitely needs to be something for that. I remember when Mourinho was first at Chelsea, and people were surprised at how seriously he took the League Cup initially, and he sort of said, I don't know if it was at the time or maybe a little bit after, that it's the first trophy you can win in the season. So in terms of instilling belief, it's a great thing to do. I mean, all right, I think they drew their last game, didn't they? But look at Newcastle. I wondered if they would have a sense of, oh, okay, job done, we've won a trophy and we'll just sort of sit back and rest on our laurels. No. Newcastle have been one of the informed teams in the league since then.
Well, Ferguson's first trophy.
Yeah, exactly.
George Graham's first trophy.
So something needs to come from that belief, because we all know, as much as Arteta did win the FA Cup, that's not this team. That's not what he's built. That's what he was able to coach at the time and on the day. But this is the team he's built, and I just want for them, as much as me or anyone else, to get over the line. They really have been good. They really have been good. But you've got to be good and some to.
We don't want to become known as the best team to never win anything.
Well, no one wants that, but at the same time, we all love Jimmy White, don't we?
Apart from his Spurs allegiance, yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Why didn't Ranieri come on yesterday?
I've got no idea. The slight mystery in this whole run is at how few minutes he seems to have got in recent weeks, which is a shame. There must be something more to it.
Is there? I don't know. Trossard and Saka are the only two players. When I read this, I thought, bloody hell. Saka and Trossard are the only two players who've scored more goals this season than Ranieri, which is a damning indictment. Which I don't know. I can't remember where I've read it, but that's a damning indictment.
Is our top scorer in the league. So
no, but in all competitions, I'm assuming. I don't know. I'll have a look in a second then. But either way, there's only maybe of available players.
Okay.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Which is damning because Trossard's a substitute and Saka's been out for 3-4 months.
Yep.
It's like, but surely when you get a goal back and you're going for it, the last 10, 12, 15 minutes, you've got nothing to lose. You're going out. So get a party off and put Nwaneri on.
Don't know.
Again,
like I say, there must be something more to it. He must be carrying a knock. Maybe, I don't know, because you can't even say it's his age because Lewis Skelly has obviously been played to his limits in recent weeks as well. So it's a slightly hard one to fathom. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, I was crying out for it, and you don't need Party on there when you're chasing a 2-goal deficit. He's not going to be the one, long throw or not. He's not going to be the one to bail you out of that game. Like we had
just on Partey. Sorry, I mean,
yeah.
Look, we can trace the bigger problems back to previous transfer windows, but in the short term, that yellow card suspension after the Real Madrid, that's gonna live with me for a while, because him in the first leg, I do think it's different in that opening 20 minutes because Rice and Marino aren't necessarily playing in the same
in their
fashion.
Better positions, yeah.
It's so annoying. Well. In the same way, I was trying to think, because I'm pretty sure there were a few moments from the previous seasons, and there's that one where we were playing Man City at their place, and I think we drew 0-0, but really late on, Trossard or Martinelli has the chance to break and pass to the other. I can't remember which way round it was, and they didn't get the pass right, and you just thought, oh, there was 2 points right there.
That was
so
the
little
league.
Things like that, isn't it?
Because that was 2 points for us, 2 off them.
Yeah, exactly. So all those little things. Yeah,
but we did create a lot of chances, and Donnarumma, for me, the better save he made was from Saka.
The tip round the bar. Yeah, for me, I'm the same.
Touched his fingers. Like, I mean, I don't know how tall he is, like 6'5", 6'6", but he needed every centimetre there. And I don't know which angle it was, but one of the replays, you could just see it. I mean, it was top corner all day long. And as someone said, that he's probably one of the only goalkeepers that could actually have saved that. And that's, again, yeah. I mean, so Saka had that chance, scored the goal, and missed that. There's your danger man, but he's literally the only one.
Only one.
Declan Rice, you got to give a nod to his 70-yard sprint back to. It will save a goal, but is it Barcola just going to? I mean, that was a just ridiculous piece of defending from so far up the pitch. And it was a definite. He would have scored it. Like, I can't imagine he'd have missed it. So Declan Rice. I mean, Declan Rice is probably our best player last night. Would you say who would you have given our man of the match to? For me, Declan Rice.
I mean, probably Rice. I didn't mind all the work that most of them put in. To be honest, it was what it was. Really, I don't know. Declan Rice is arguably our man of the match in most games. So yeah.
Yeah, and how did you think Ødegaard played?
I thought he played quite well, to be honest, because I said this right. So the way I watched it, on the telly, TNT Sports, but on mute, and then was listening to the Arsenal app, because I find our commentators. So Dan Roebuck is the commentator, with Adrian Clark as co-commentator. They're really far more balanced, reasonable, even as Arsenal supporters, obviously. Because Adrian Clark was saying at one point, and there was a bit of a delay on it, but I didn't mind that at all. Adrian Clark was saying that Ødegaard was winning possession high in the press on occasion, was using the ball relatively well, and any time that he lost the ball, it was because he was playing a risky pass. And you don't mind that. When you've got a lead to chase, like, you don't mind a risky pass, because I think a lot of people are annoyed that these things are coming off, but I'd be more annoyed if he was just playing safe and playing backwards all the time. I think that would bother me a lot more. So I didn't mind his performance at all. Yeah, his shooting boots need to be put on a little bit better. I mean, that shot against Donnarumma was good, but it was all about making a good contact rather than picking a spot. It's those moments where he, and Saka to an extent as well, do that kind of run inside across the penalty box, and the shot is to the far corner, but they seem reluctant to pull the trigger, and they'll just knock it out wide to Martinelli or whoever, which is what it is.
Yeah, I thought Odegaard had a good first half. I thought he faded in the second half. I thought a lot of the moves kept breaking down with him as the second half.
It's got to be tiredness.
Yes,
it's a bit like with Lewis Skelly as well. He got
yeah.
jumped a couple of times sort of late on as well, and you just think, well, mentally and physically, those players are going to be spent. So surely the move was to start fast like that and then make the changes, but they didn't really come.
Well, the goals didn't come either. So. We're recording this on Thursday evening. Looks like Spurs are getting into the Europa League final. Do we care? Can't watch them against United. Well, I won't watch it. That's a given.
I think someone's got to lose that final, and that's the only solace I'll take.
I want both to lose that final.
Of course. I mean, there's a lot of stuff flying about at the moment about, silverware, and like, you haven't won a trophy and they could win a trophy. We couldn't qualify for the Europa League. The Europa League is a trophy you take seriously if you're in it. If you're qualifying too high in the league, if you're so unlucky that you finish too high in the league to be in it, what can you do?
and they're only lucky this year because no Champions League clubs dropped into it, and a Champions League club always won it.
Why do they want to win it as much for the silverware as to be in the Champions League?
Yeah,
that we just got to the semi-final.
I still wouldn't swap seasons with them.
Well, no, this is the thing as well. It's like, 17th and a trophy, or where we are. It's like, well, where we are. Yeah. We've got a collective, a team. Everyone's on board. We're not chopping and changing things here and there. And just generally, there's a bit more identity. I mean, don't get me wrong. Spurs have got identity, but it's not an identity I want. They're going to have a plus goal difference and finish, 17th? That is mental.
If they win it and it keeps Big Ange, I think
this is the thing. Imagine being a United team that loses a trophy to Spurs, but it keeps the Spurs manager in. The Spurs manager who doesn't like the Tottenham fans. The Tottenham fans don't like him. It's just carnage. But somehow they're going to come out of it with a trophy. Well,
that's the thing. I know I'm in a minority here, but if it's United against Spurs in the final, I want United to lose more than I want Spurs to lose. I have to look at it that way. I have to look at it that way around. For those reasons, I just think United in the Champions League, with that extra money, they could do a lot more damage next season.
No, but they have the highest turnover in world football because of all their commercial stuff that goes on. And look what they do with that money. They spend it on players like Anthony, who becomes a meme of a footballer, who then leaves and goes to Real Betis and tears it up, and he's probably going to get Real Betis in Europe, and they're probably going to beat Chelsea in the Conference League final. But then they still have to get Sir Jim, the Grim Reaper, in to make cost cutting, so they can't eat pies and sausage rolls in the canteen. They're mad. The more money they get, the worse it's going to get. I don't get it.
I have the fear because of the history, so it's. Of
course. Look, and it's one of those things. Like, Amorim is a good coach, I think, but Man United is a different beast, and it does things to people.
It's a graveyard for.
Well, it's because and look, it's post-Fergie, isn't it? Okay, and we're glad that we got it out of our system with Unai Emery, who missed out on Champions League and therefore cost him his job. Who's a very good coach, by the way. It's just wrong man, wrong time. But Man United are not finding anyone who's the right man, right time.
Well, someone did say, I remember hearing this a long time ago, that actually this iteration of United is you Manchester United, the Fergie era was the anomaly. That this is who they are. This is who they've always been. But
Right.
the Fergie era rather, is the anomaly, the
I
outlier.
love
That's
that.
So I like that. I think, oh, this is good. They've returned to their norm.
I mean, they did win the European Cup in the '60s, so
Yeah,
but
but
then
all
got relegated after that.
yeah,
So
well, exactly. So they've had flashes.
yeah.
Chris isn't here, but let me read what Chris has sent in for the PSG game. Can't fault our effort, particularly first 15 minutes or so when we played with the aggression I wanted to see more of in the first game. Clearly a tactic to use height and physicality more. I may have said more than once, we will rue these missed chances. Never more true than last night. Rice's early header goes in. It's game on. Ødegaard's shot produced the best save I've seen in ages, rather than a missed opportunity. Okay, I kind of see that, but
You can debate that between yourselves
yeah,
next time.
I'm sure we will. Wish we committed more bodies in the box when Saka was able to beat his left back and get crosses in.
Sorry, I was just going to pick up on that point. I forgot to mention it because what was annoying me, or what was clear to see, was that Saka was the only attacker in his head. He was making the runs and putting the balls in. Why? I mean, Marino, maybe you can understand it because he's not really attacker. That's not his instinct. Martinelli.
Yeah. No excuse. Yeah.
Gamble.
Yeah.
Gamble. He's too on his heels too much. And it just made me think that that's where the upgrade's got to come. It's got to come from people who are willing runners, looking to anticipate, get on the end of those, because those, there were a couple of flashes of the ball across the box. Oh,
well, so someone said a proper number 9 would have had a hat trick last night for us.
yeah, could have done.
And Saka was getting frustrated. I don't ever see you never see Saka kind of raise his arms in frustration at his teammates, but he did it several times last night, and it was always on a brilliant cross he just put over. And that was just waiting to be tapped in, someone to take a gamble on it. And, Declan Rice probably could, but he's too far back. So Marino's got to do it, or Martinelli. Come on.
I mean,
he has to
Havertz has a bit more of that, but not hugely.
No.
Not hugely. So, but then we've seen it. It's been clear to see forever. Sorry, what was Chris saying?
Yeah. Right, he says, ultimately PSG were more clinical across both games with Donnarumma playing out of his skin. Don't agree with Arteta that we were the best team in the tournament. I look at both teams that played and trying to be as objective as possible. I think maybe Saliba, Rice and Saka get into the PSG lineup. So while I'm gutted, I think ultimately we went out to the better side across the two games. Look, goals win games, and we missed our chances. Had we taken, we've got an XG of over 5 across the two games. Theirs is 2 point something or 1 point something. I mean, one goal from that, and that's for me. Therein lieth the problem, and it's not Einstein to work that out. Zooming out, we will reflect and blame lack of striker for half the season and other key player injuries. We can and should debate the reasons why they got injured, but we have to be proud of what we've achieved and see this as incremental progress. That's an interesting question. I'll ask you in a second. A fit and bolster squad next season will hopefully go 1 or 2 games better. Do you think this is being an incremental, the progressive season then?
On paper, because just to go from the quarterfinals to the semi-finals, on paper it certainly looks like that. And
overall, or not just within the Champions League. Because the best team the Champions League still is just a cup tournament after that ridiculous 34 league season.
I'm not sure I'm on board. I mean, look, I get Arteta's being slightly defiant. He probably feels like the team isn't given enough credit for what they do because the floor has become so high. The ceiling still needs to be punched through, but maybe look, we've fought on slightly more fronts this season because the last few campaigns, the domestic cups have basically been write-offs. So to make even a Carabao Cup semi-final and be well beaten by a very good Newcastle side, okay, that's slightly more progress. Although again, another really disappointing showing in that. The thing for me then is thinking about it. Okay, so what are we doing different stylistically? And that's where I'm not as convinced. I'm glad that we're sustaining a certain level. But I'm not a huge amount sure. I think the thing is, I think someone like the signing of Calafiori maybe stated an intent, because he's somewhat of a hybrid. He's not a full-on Zinchenko that will just step into midfield and just play the metronome, but he's not a Tierney who's an old-fashioned fullback who might just go round the outside and cross. He's a hybrid of both, and I wonder if his signing was hoping to maybe unlock a little bit more variety down that left side, but he's been injured a majority of the season, so we don't quite know how that might have progressed. Lewis Skelly's come in. He's been brilliant. He's got another aspect to his game playing from fullback, in that he will happily take the ball under close control, which I'm not sure is a strength of Zinchenko. And then if he breaks free, will happily dribble and drive at players, which is sort of delightful. So, he might be an internal solution we have going forward. But it all comes down to attack. The defence has sustained a certain level, but the attack's just not doing it in the way that we need it to. So
yeah,
I'm in the middle. I can't help but sit on the fence.
I don't see it as progress on last season overall. I don't think you can when you've fallen so far behind in the league, and again it's attack. We've still got the best defence in the Premier League. It's all about the attack. We need 2 first 11 striker or attackers in the summer, like 2. So Nico Williams and Sesko,
for example.
Nico Williams and I thought Liam Delap was.
Well, it could be someone like it could be Nico Williams and Sesko, or it could be Semenyo and Gyökeres, or I mean, there'll be names coming out here, there, and everywhere in terms of rumours now.
Well, especially in the next 2 weeks when it's season ticket renewal. No cynic here. This is a cynic-free zone. It's not. So I can't see it as progress. I'm afraid. I don't think we've even plateaued. I think we've regressed somewhat. And again, it's players like Martinelli and Trossard need to be upgraded. They're great squad players, and they need to be upgraded. And he needs not to hammer the players who are at the top.
I do also think that, despite the revisionism that seems to be going on with what happened against Madrid, and even the showing we've put up against PSG, that there is a height that's been hit with those performances against top European sort of competition. The issue in the league is about using the squad better and using the attack better, because we know that those teams, it's the classic, breaking down a defence, low block and all that kind of stuff that we have to overcome, that we're not learning from. And I think that's where we've definitely not improved and may have even gone slightly backwards. But I think in other games against those top opposition, that's where we are more of a force, possibly. So it's all about the context, and it's a team. What is it? Progress isn't a steady line. It's ups and downs, and it's back and forths. And maybe overall, looking back, this is a bit of a regression, but there's a couple of little peaks in there.
It could also be a learning.
A learning. I think that's what I'm sort of getting at. That hopefully some of the players will learn from that. And like we say, the point of defeat, and it's a bit like everyone banging on about this guard of honour we're going to have to give Liverpool at the weekend, and saying, oh, well, I mean, what was it, Troy Deeney in the news this week? Saying, well, for the Scum newspaper, it should be said, which obviously no one in Liverpool reads for obvious reasons. He was saying, Arsenal shouldn't give the guard of honour. That would show a winner's mentality. No. What that would show is a sore loser.
Petty.
What you do is you give the guard of honour through gritted teeth, and you say, not next time, lads. Come on, we're going to do everything we can to try and make it next time. Use it. You've got to use it as fuel, but don't lose your dignity and your class like that. What's the point in that? Yeah.
So
anyway,
again, we've been a bit too predictable. We've got one outlet. You said Saka's our only striker, our only attack-minded attacker. And yeah, we need 3 of those. So teams can't put all their defensive defense is all I've got.
They can't put all their defenders on Saka. How about that?
Exactly. Yeah. So they'll need to. There's a varied and 3-pronged attack they've got to consider. Okay, you've mentioned Guard of Honour Sunday. We are off to Anfield. We still need to not finish outside the top 5, by the way. So,
oh dear,
3 games ago. I haven't looked at the table that recently for obvious reasons, and I'm not looking at it now either. You're going. Let me just read what Chris has said. He's picked his team. He said they'll play with, they being Liverpool, will play with freedom in front of their home crowd as champions. Whilst we will be bruised and deflated from last night. The team he's picked: Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Kivior, Calafiori, Erdegaard, Partey, Rice, Saka, Trossard, Martinelli. What have you gone for team-wise?
So when I first picked it, because I saw Chris's message come through earlier and I thought, okay, I'll do mine. I found myself picking my team and I forgot that what we're trying to do is predict Arteta's lineup. Yeah. And I've gone with exactly the same as Chris. Raya, White, Saliba, Kivior, Calafiori, Odegaard, Partey, Rice, Saka, Trossard, Martinelli. I think Mourinho was played against PSG because we know that shape suited us best and he played very well, but he's clearly flagging a little bit. So just bring him out the firing line, put Trossard in, why not? And Calafiori, it was good to see him get minutes. Lewis Skelly looks knackered. Timber does on the other side as well, so change the fullbacks. Other than that, you got to keep it the same because we've got to go fairly strong. Like you say, we need the points. And isn't Anfield a great place to go for points?
Was that an Irish accent for pints?
Points.
Points.
No, it was just...
Okay, because there's definitely not a good place to go for points.
No, it's not.
I've gone for similar. Same back four, so change the 2 fullbacks. White, Saliba, Kivior, Calafiori, Partey, Rice, Erdegaard in the middle. And again, like you said, it's not what I would pick. I wouldn't have Erdegaard starting the game. I'd have him out. I think he needs a rest.
When I was picking my team, I had Nwaneri in it.
Yeah, I put him in. I wrote NW and then I just crossed it out and wrote Erdegaard because I thought, what the hell? What am I even trying for? He's going to play Erdegaard. I have changed one tweak on your teams to my front 3: Saka, Marino, Trossard.
You think he's staying the same?
I think he'll. Well, no, I think he'll drop Martinelli to the bench.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't even clock that. Yeah, why Martinelli?
Because he annoyed me. So there's obviously an element of,
Well, I'm pretty sure he didn't annoy Arteta, so Arteta's picking him.
He should have. For a few reasons. Chris's scoreline.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we will try to lay down a marker for next season, but can't see us getting anything, I'm afraid. We lose 2-0. Stef.
We lose 3-0.
Well, things are so bad that I'm not predicting us to win. I'm predicting a 1-1 draw.
Okay, I'll bite your hand off.
Yeah, no, that's draw. Yeah, me too.
Okay, fine.
I can't. Have I ever predicted us a defeat? I'm not sure I have, but
I'm going to look through. We'll put it this way. Do you want an update?
Oh, go on then.
On where we're at. So, following the Bournemouth game, just in the Predictor League, you've got 24 points. Remember, it's 3 points for an exact score, and then 1 point for a result.
Have you started with me because I'm top?
No. You've got 25 points. Chris has got 31, and I've got 29. So Chris is leading with 31.
That's how crap a season it's been for us. In that you're closer to the actual points total.
No. That's not the points tally. That's not the points tally. That's our Predictor League.
Yeah, but so you're actually. That's how crap we've been. Mr. Eeyore has been more realistic than me.
Oh, wait, it gets even better than that. You wait till you hear this, right? So
Liverpool are on 82 points currently.
Yes, right. So if you want to know, if all your scores had been correct, yeah, you...
Am I the Garth
Ollie,
Crooks of... Oh,
you would have predicted us to currently be on 96 points.
We won the league.
Well, no
that's
kidding.
What we should have done. Well, we should have done.
Anyway, Chris would have us on 89 points, yeah? And this is the thing. I would have us on 68 points. And we're currently on 67.
So if Chris is suggesting that we've made progress this season, Chris, when you're listening to this, you'll have to revise that opinion because
we've had a Stefan Eeyore season.
Oh my God.
Basically, so I'm the pessimistic season, Chris is the realistic season, and you're the optimistic season. So everything can be judged for Arsenal by that.
And can I just say that you two push me to the optimism season, or to the optimistic side, because...
Yes, and you push me to the pessimism.
I have... You speak first. We can't push each other. You push me.
And what's even funnier is, just to give an insight into what we're really like, when we're at the games, you are literally in the seat in front of me. We reverse our position. When I'm there on the stands, I am full of beans and I'm singing and I'm cheering. I'm going, come on, yes, here we go. It's great. And you're there tearing your hair out going,
because,
oh no,
Steph, nobody in my life has ever referred to me as an optimist, ever. So what you see in person is me. This is some forced, I don't know, mask that I have to don to give a bit of balance to your negativity. Oh God, we cannot have an Eeyore season next season. That's all I can say.
Not to this level, no. To be on 67 points. What's the most we can get? 76. Yeah, that's not right, is it? The bar's been set. City in recent years, it's 80s minimum, but really you're looking for
90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't Chelsea get to 100? Who got to 100?
Chelsea have topped 100.
Didn't Liverpool get to 100 and not win?
Yes, they did.
Good.
Which is mad. And a bit Arteta was kind of misquoted when he was talking about, the points from the last few seasons, because I think he was just taking some of the criticism a bit harshly, in the sense that, he said, no, look, we're still doing okay, and he's the first to admit that not everything is right, and that's fine. But he sort of said, half jokingly, because he did say everything with a smile on his face, if we'd got last season's points total, we'd have won. And I just thought, yeah, that's it. You wind him up.
He's what was I going to say?
I think he knows exactly what he's doing with stuff like that. He's too clever not to. Although I did hear recently, I hadn't heard this until I was listening to a podcast earlier, about Graham Potter's been getting a bit shirty with reporters recently, because obviously they've had a few sort of negative results. They're going to finish below Tottenham and Man United, who are having their worst league seasons. And yeah, he got a bit angry in a very Graham Potter way. It wasn't a full-on Kevin Keegan rant. It was still very polite and reserved. But yeah, it's interesting. Whereas I don't think Arteta, he knows what he's doing when he's saying stuff like that.
He does. I mean, he was desperate for a striker in January, and one of the things he said in his post-match presser yesterday, I haven't got it word for word, but paraphrasing, he said we lacked, I don't know what it was, in both boxes, but in their box we usually you'd normally expect a striker or something like that. It's like, he's not happy because he's having to play the company man, and clearly, I mean, he publicly said, no, we need bodies. We need a striker. In January,
I looked it up earlier.
Yeah.
In January, pretty much after the Gabriel Jesus injury, he essentially said, yeah, we need a striker. He said it. It's the most outspoken he's been about wanting it. And then I looked, and after the transfer window had closed, suddenly the company line came out. And it was literally like, I don't know, Orwellian newspeak, where he was saying, for a number of reasons, the club have decided, and he kept using the club, which was interesting, as if to say it's not my bloody choice. So he's crying out. This team is crying out. Declan Rice said the team is crying out for people to put that ball in the net. So that's what we've got to do. Priority number one on the summer.
Isak.
Okay. He's going to be playing in the Champions League for Newcastle next season. And you just have to accept.
No, we're going to beat Newcastle next week, so that'll not keep them out.
Yeah, right.
So it's a United and Spurs
and we'll get to that
Europa
100
League
point mark, according to your league.
I've predicted a draw for Liverpool. Come on, settle down. We got a draw there last year. Okay, look. Draw a line under it now. It's we've got 3 games left this season. These are all we care about is finishing in the top 5. I couldn't care less whereabouts in that top 5 we finish. There's no, I sometimes hear about. I know that the Invincibles, they ended the season with 2 wins, and that got them. They carried that momentum over to the summer. What's going to give us momentum at the start of next season are the new signings that we make. That's where our impetus will come from. So look, well done to the team for its efforts yesterday. It was no criticism of that. Yeah, lack of efficiency in the box, a little bit of bad luck. We haven't talked about the penalty decision, which I think was a ridiculous decision. You seemed a bit more sanguine about that in your pitch.
No, not particularly. It is ridiculous, but at the same time, I remember that one that we conceded against Inter Milan, which for me wasn't a penalty. Just because the ball hits a hand or an arm doesn't make it a handball, in my view, but UEFA see it very differently. I actually think last night's was worse than the Inter one.
Well, nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
I thought it was for us. I thought it was the Saka. I thought Saka. It was way back to the Saka in the penalty box decision. I was like, and the commentators were clueless, that one of them saw Arteta's reaction and kind of just interpreted his reaction that it was against Arsenal somehow, and then they obviously got notification that it was for a handball in the Arsenal penalty area. I'm like, what? But nobody claimed it. That's shocking rules, shocking decision. But anyway, look, it is what it is. It's all done. We can look forward to Anfield. Enjoy your day out at Abbey Road.
Anfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to judge that. If I could arrange it, if I had the power with the collective Arsenal fans, I'd say, no, let's all go, but let's all just stay in the concourse.
Oh, the players would feel that as a
slight on them, I know, and it isn't about that. It's about not giving Liverpool fans the satisfaction. Although I'm sure Liverpool fans will be incredibly dignified and incredibly respectful in savouring their title in front of us, apparently their nearest rivals. Yeah, right. Hey ho. Yeah. You got to take it. Look, at the end of the day, look, Arsenal could fall out of the Premier League and end up in League Two, and I'd still be an Arsenal fan because I'm an idiot, mainly probably because whatever. But I would, and so thick and thin and all that kind of stuff. And if this is which way round is it? Thin. This is thin, isn't it? Yeah. If this is thin, finishing, second, although maybe not second in the top, and getting to a Champions League semi-final, then boy, yeah.
It's tough being crap, isn't it?
Yes, just this crap. This crap,
yeah. Lovely. All right, well, listen, thanks for the chat. I hope it's been a little bit cathartic. I can't speak. Cathartic. Cathartic. Or whatever that word is. Thanks for the chat. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll obviously do another one after the Liverpool game at some point. Can't wait. See you then. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
I might see ya. Bye.
The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app, and find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at NorthBankPod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by The Podcast Company.